I say this in every live that I ain't gonna be here long. And I think I mean it this time. I'm probably gonna stay like 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Let me go get some of my sage right quick. Oh. I say this every time, but I think it's well needed. I'm gonna light my sage, light my cinnamon. And I say this every time I go to live. This is cinnamon. I'm gonna light this up. Cinnamon is for prosperity, abundance of whatever you can possibly think of. Cinnamon. See the smoke? There we go. There's a lot going on. And I'm in Los Angeles, California. Go Dodgers. Go Dodgers. Go Lakers. But I'm a 49er fan, so fuck the Rams. Sage. I say. Let me give it a minute. Sage. Let me show you guys what I say translates to. Hold on. I say. There we go. So when you hear the collective say this, this is what you would interpret. The etymology, the definition. Go Dodgers. I mean, there's so much to talk about. Let me relight my cinnamon. This is for prosperity. Cinnamon. Cinnamon. Smells good too. Not too pungent. Not that bad. Cinnamon. Like that. Let my sage. Boy, we got a lot going on right now. We got a lot going on. I don't know what's going on with California right now. You know, they're talking about missiles being shot at the I-5. I don't know what that's all about. But we'll use the collective mindset here in California. I would like everybody else who's who's part of the collective to also send meditation and prayers to California. I don't plan on going anywhere. There's a lot of people that have been online talking about leave California. I'm not going anywhere. I got family here. I have an older sister here who's like my mother. And she's only a few years older than me. She's not like super older than me, but she's been like a mother figure to me. You know? My whole life, my brothers You know, my aunt and my eldest brothers, and my younger brother, rest in peace, is not here. You know, because my mother and father were there, but you know, you know how it is when you got to work and you got things going on and all the crazy. This Sage, I have my children out here. You know, oldest son who is a professional barber, eldest daughter who is a dental assistant, youngest daughter who just graduated from medical, and my youngest son who's employed and goes to school, works at Walmart. That's my wild child, my alien baby, my O positive baby. Yep. Taller than me. Boy, like 6 foot now. And still growing. So it's been a lot going on. A lot of losses. Celebs moving, celebs passing away. We've had a lot of sacrifice, a lot of family members that are leaving this realm. I've had the opportunity, for a lack of a better term, to say that I've had family members move to the ancestral realm. You know, it's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of lack right now. Even if you work, it's been a lot of lack. And California is one of these states where it's very expensive out here. I don't know why people want to come out here, but but I don't believe in coincidences. You're born for a reason. As a star seed or indigo or a crystal, whatever you want to call it, you come here for a mission, and we start to remember the mission that we're on, and we come here because I don't think anybody would really volunteer if they knew the consequences of this place. And you know what? They say that we come on a live mission. You know what I mean? The D word. I don't know if I could say it. Can I say it? Death? Or suicide? Can I say that? A suicide mission. But we lose our memory, so we don't go Dodgers. We forget why we came here, and then we got to go to this university, this school, and not only learn, but remember. So we have to learn, the metaphysics of everything. Then we have to relearn, and then we have to find ourselves. And they say that this realm, which is Earth, we have to, this is the hardest university in the universe, because there's many universes. There's university, hence the term university. Parallel universes, realms. So we came here because this is the toughest place, and I guess the toughest people chose the toughest place. You wouldn't be put in this position, I guess, if you weren't built that way. So that's what we're here for. I might sound solemn or like down, but I'm not. I'm more turned up than you could ever imagine, but I'm an Aquarius. This is Aquarius gang, and soon we'll be in that season. But I'm just kind of cool, calm, and collective right now. But looking at a lot of lives and looking at a lot of looking at the news, and not necessarily the news that's on the television, but looking at the school of balance. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, God. Courts, you're right. In the school of balance, everything is a balance. It's a scale. You know what I'm saying? So we're here to learn. You know, we're here to get it all the information and give it as much as we can. You understand what I'm saying? And like I said, we have you know, and we have a lot going on. A lot going on. You know, we have these storms happening. You know, it's just whether it be weather manipulation, whether it be, like I say, or a natural catastrophe, it's happening. We're in prophecy, but not in a religious aspect. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. We're not in a religious place. There's no such thing as a religion. So get that out of your head right this fucking moment. This is everything is cyclical. We it's happened before. We've been here before. We were the giants. Like I say, and I mentioned this in my last live and many lessons before, that there's everything is two halves make a whole. There's always a yin and a yang, a dark and a light. There's always been two sets of everything. You know what I mean? So but they want to portray the bad giants or Nephilim that have been here, but they never really portray the good ones that here. I mentioned like us growing up watching giants, the seven friendly giants, Jack and the beanstalk and stuff like that. They put in our cartoons and stories. I mentioned the giant in the Super Friends, not the native, but the indigenous Indian that was in the Super Friends. He was a giant, but he was a good guy. He was on the Super Friends side. They put it's truth hidden in plain sight. They give it to you because it's universal law. They have to give it to you simple and plain. They're not going to tell you, but they will, but they have to give it to you. So they give it to you in code, and and I've come to the conclusion of my thesis that we have these vessels. I believe were built as a bear trap harness to kind of like hold the soul, the real power, the true you, and I believe we were like souls of giants. Because like I said, I'm indigenous of this land of the Amaruka. You know what I mean? So, and there were giants here. You could see the giant animals that were our land, islands, and you can see the giants that are petrified. You see them, and they could be some of you. They could be some of you. You don't know, because there's such thing as incarnation, and reincarnation. So they might be some of you. You know what I mean? You never know until you know. But we were that. We were, because if you look at the days of Adam, and the mother Eve, and Lilith, they weren't 5 feet. They weren't 6 feet. They were much bigger, because the oxygen levels were higher then, so things were different. You were built different. So you were bigger, you were more intelligent, you were a lot stronger, and you were a bigger entity that harnessed a bigger, and your soul never changes. It's never will. So it's always been massive, mucho grande. See? Mucho grande. See? So you always been big, always, massive, and and then you got to look at it that over 6,000, between 6,000 to 10,000 years, that these bodies were constructed, and it didn't take them long to construct these mechanisms, because these bodies are like machines, to construct a prison, to harness this in here, to keep that, so we don't incarnate into something, back into our originality, So, um, there was giants that walked. He said, like it says in the scriptures, there was giants on the earth in those days, and we were, Adam was tall. They were tall. They were like 20 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet tall, Eve, we were bigger because, and then and I know a lot of people, these skeptics be like, you know what? How could giants roam the earth? How could giants roam the earth? And but the earth is bigger than you think. For entertainment purposes only. Giants are, the earth is bigger than you think. And then you have to look outside the ice ring. You have to look outside of all that. So, they of course they could walk. Why would you put, that's like, it's like putting, it's like putting a tire to your car inside of a bathtub. Inside of a swimming pool. Why would, you're only going to put something that belongs there. So if giants roam the earth, would you think that the plane was bigger than it actually is? It's just common sense, use your mind. It's critical thinking. Would you think this place is bigger than it actually is? Excuse me. So, it's a lot going on right this moment. The truth is being unveiled. And excuse me, this is kind of like a vent. Not a rant, but a vent. I rant all the time, So, but this is like a vent. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, now let me kind of land back to what I mentioned earlier about California. I love this place, and a part of me, I guess, if you want to say like, this vessel wants to leave, because you got people, like I said, I look on my my For You page, and I see a lot of people saying what they're saying, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't disagree with you, but the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The flesh wants me to be like, oh, let's Scooby-Doo up out of this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going anywhere, and I'll give you an example. My wife and I were going to we did a road trip to Louisiana, because she has people in Louisiana. I have people in South Carolina, and I have some people in Arkansas, but the majority in South Carolina. That's where we originate from, Seminole Indian tribe up. You know what I'm saying? And Seminole Indian, and Yamasee, Choctaw, Blackfoot, and my wife also Blackfoot, Chickasaw, Yamasee, and we went to go visit in Louisiana, a long 23-hour road trip, and we had a good time. And her people live in what's the name of the town? It's a small town. Not Shreveport. What is it? It'll come to me momentarily. Just give me a moment. But we went to go visit this place, and we were gonna live there, because we thought about it, we talked about it, like, what about the transition, and how about moving out here? It was, cheaper, air clean, nothing but greenery, and It was a beautiful place to be. And it was a sudden change at the last minute. Like, she didn't want to be there, and it was, I guess it was a lot of, disgruntled people out there, I guess coming from California, and family members, and for her family members, because her family members from Louisiana. And she was starting to get homesick, and she was like, at the last minute, like, I don't want to be here. And I got a job, everything kind of like that door open where, everything is going the way it's supposed to go, and I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, if you truly want to go back, because I kind of had doubt, but I was like, but who doesn't, because change, it feels different. When you go through change, it's different. You get that butterfly in your stomach and you feel a certain way. And, and like I said, I'm born and bred California. My family from Chicago, Illinois, Chi-Town, and and migrated to Chicago, Illinois in the, early on, my grandparents, so, them transitioning to Los Angeles in the 60s. So that's all I know is Los Angeles, California. California in general, because I've been all over this place, but and I don't currently live in Los Angeles. I've been away from Los Angeles for a little while, but I choose to be away from LA. If you know, shit. But I left there, because, you mature, and things just change. The violence and, the energy is different, so you leave, and we're relocated to Central California, but, because of financial reasons, because, for financial gain. So we, that's why we're this way, but, that's all we know is California. You know what I'm saying? So my granddaughter's out here. My children are out here. My sister is out here. My eldest brother. I have an older brother, and I have an eldest brother, and I have another older brother, and I have a younger brother. But my older brother and my youngest brother have passed they passed away 5 years ago within 3 months of each other, along with my mother. And my youngest brother and my mother passed in my home. I was taking care of them, and my brother was sick, and my mother also. And my eldest brother is still in California, and I just got off the phone with him. My older sister is like my mother, always has been, but she's out here. I'm like, I feel like, a lot of people say, and a lot of spiritual people will say, to detach. And I'm an Aquarius. Detachment is simple, easy peasy. But there's a shift. There's always going to be a shift. Some people change perspectives. You have to respect that. There's growth, because nobody will be left behind. If you know, you know. And sometimes you were brought here for that. You were brought for no specific reason. I know people want to be selfish. I don't believe in that. Selflessness. I just don't. Like, I'm going to leave my wife of 15 years and my children. Nah, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. So, but I'm going to still do me regardless. I'm going to still teach. I'm going to still nourish. I'm going to still do my shaman thing. I'm going to still do, for those who lack, common sense, who still show ignorance, warlock, if that's what you want to call it, a witch doctor. You call it what you want to, shaman, but I'm a shaman. You know what I mean? And I'm going to still do that till the wheels fall off. And if, a lot of people will call Jesus that if they knew who he truly was. If you knew his teachings, they'd be like, this motherfucker, they call him the devil in the Bible. So, you can miss me with that. But Beelzebub. This is what they call him. But I'm here until the wheels fall off, whether it be the Leviathan stand straight up, split this motherfucking half. I'm gonna be right here, I'm gonna be right here, and they say that we were here on a suicide mission. So, if you're a star seed, if you don't consider yourself that, then this conversation has nothing to do with you. But they said we knew what we came back for. The bills, the stress, the wars, the revelation, all that. They said we knew this already. And we rose our hand anyway. You know what I'm saying? We knew the answers to the to the test, and I know it. I'll go. I'll volunteer. But you don't know until now that what you actually fucking volunteer for. You know what I'm saying? This shit is crazy work. And what kind of set me off was my wife and I just paid an outstanding bill, right now. And I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? And then I also looked at the news earlier. Like I said, this is just a vent. I'm not ranting, this is a vent. And then I looked earlier, had my coffee, Rise coffee, if you know what that is. I was drinking my Rise coffee mixed with a little Folgers. And I was looking at the news earlier, and they were talking about a few people were talking about California and these missiles, and I'm like, when am I supposed to just jump the fuck up? So, and people make it sound so simple, and it's the simplicity of it all anyway. The simplicity of it all. It's so simple. I can't believe that it was all so simple then. It sounds simple, but it's not. And I don't even feel the urge because I'll reiterate back to when I went to Louisiana. I'm all over the place. I'm jumping back and forth. Like I said, this is just a vent. I could have stayed there. My wife could get a job anywhere because she's overqualified. She had family out there that works in, governmental stuff, and like graduated from, Southern School, the University of Southern, and works, their feet are imprinted in Louisiana, family that got businesses out there. I mean, she could have worked anywhere. I had just got a job paying like damn near $25 an hour, in the state of Louisiana. I could have been there. We could have got, it would have been a done deal. I could have sent for my kids and everything. And at this last minute, this spirit was like, nah. And I was fine with that. Feelings wasn't hurt, nothing. I'm like, well, let's just go home. You know what I'm saying? Because that means I'm here for whatever. I'm in California, Fred. I still go back and forth to Los Angeles. I got family out there. My sister-in-law is sick right now. We're meditating and praying for her. You know what I'm saying? My nephew just passed from cancer. My day one. And everybody has like a mission wherever they're at. Everywhere you go, there you are. So wherever you're at because you're supposed to be there. And I know people, dude from Florida came out here. A lot of people are like, leave California. And I'm not no scary person. I never have been. I've always been cautious. As a kid, I wasn't a fighter. A real simple kid. I was shy, Aquarius, observant, and the quiet. So, the bullies try to punk the quiet ones until they fuck around and find out. Because I was an athlete. I played football, every level. But let's just talk about when I was a kid. I played Pop Warner football, baseball, track, You know, I boxed. I was a martial artist. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't like you ain't doing nothing. You know, it just don't seem like I just don't say anything. You know, so I've never been in fear. You know, I never have feared anything. I've always astral projected, even as a child. I've always been, in depth in spirituality and just not knowing. But there's no fear. There's no such thing as fear. Fear is a construct, and you kind of learn that it's a construct as you get older, as time progresses. You know that it's not real. You know, everything you was taught is not real, and you end up knowing that and understanding that. So that's how I am now. Even if a great tsunami came in, I think I would sit on the front porch and watch it come. You know, because I don't feel like I'm done here, California. I'm indigenous of this land. My feet are planted in the soil, rooted. I am a tree. You know, I'm a giant, just like the rest of you, giants from this place. And you stay planted and ingrained where you're at right now because everyone needs you. Like everybody needs me here. I'm not going anywhere. So I care less about a missile, Leviathan, and some say that we speak to the animals, we speak to the trees, we speak with nature. We have dealt with these beings and nature from millennia. So we just lost connection. We just lost sight with them. Like how you could treat a dog and train your dog and speak to your dog and telepathy, and your dog is looking for you, looking for your dog. You can kind of like discern what they're going through. They say that Leviathan is like that with us, and whether it's sirens, mermaids, and even werewolves, because they say that we are related to these people, to these cryptids, and because of spiritual transformations and stuff like that, that we are kind of spiritually and genetically connected. So we can speak to these people. Now, people are they fear what they don't know. That's why I always reiterate, you must do your due diligence, and you must study, you must go in depth into things that you're not aware of, because you will awaken more than once. I promise you this. I haven't seen any really, I see stuff all the time in the air, in the sky, orbs, stuff like that. I see spirits all the time, but they're not threatening. It's like they're just watching or chilling with you or whatnot, But I've been seeing them for over 15 years, 20 years, so I'm accustomed to it, So, but if you haven't seen it and you don't know, then you will be afraid of it. And people are afraid of what they don't know and what they don't understand. And that was the agenda from the beginning, really, to knock you off your square, to make you afraid of what you don't understand. And the first thing they had to do was take your memory from you. Because if you don't remember anything, then how could you know that you weren't afraid? You understand what I'm saying? Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's what it is. It's always been a catastrophe. When they see an elevation or an ascension and they see a process, they want to destroy the place. But I don't think they can, because I think too many people are in a hive mind, and too many people remember, and too many people don't want destruction. And if destruction comes, I believe that too many people know that people remember. And too many people don't want destruction. And if destruction comes, I believe that too many people know that they can overcome it. So there's nothing really they can do. I don't care how much witchcraft or black magic they try, which is ours anyway. That's like, you trying to use my shit against me. How could you do that? When I created it, you can't use what's mine against me. So a lot of people, and witch and warlock, for those who don't know, witch or warlock doesn't mean, it's not a bad thing. Witch in the old times, etymology wise, a witch meant a woman with wisdom before they inverted it. Warlock is a man with wisdom. That's what you see. Those were like the wizards and everything like that. You understand what I'm saying? So wizards, warlocks, witches, stuff like that, and they inverted it, because, and they didn't, it wasn't like they were just mixing in a witch's brew from witchy poo. These were in incantations. These were it's just like how you speak to your ancestors, or you speak to the higher powers and stuff like that, and you speak to those that were close to you or bonded to you, because everybody in your DEA or your DNA, when your ancestors die, they come into your vessel. You're a part of them, so you speak to them every day. So you use them as power. Your magnetism. It's not no hocus pocus. There's no such thing as hocus pocus, but there is energy. There is, that's your power. There is your thought. That's power. There is the more you think, what you think is that you shall become. So and we use plants and roots and things of the earth because we are a part of the earth. So if you're a part of something, don't you think you can have control of it? So that's what we use for medicine, stuff like that. So there's no witchcraft. There's no such thing. It's just they made it diabolical. I think when people come to the understanding of that, then they'll be all right. You ain't. I don't have to wear no pointy hat. You don't have to see my crystals. You don't have to see anything that I do to know that I deal with certain things. And Christians do it too. They delve in that. They don't think they do because they've been manipulated. And no knock against Christians, because I don't knock any religion. I believe that you were just, like everybody was, they were manipulated by religion. They were, because everybody has been docile, so they believed in what they were taught. You're a product of your environment. So, and when you're in fear, fear, you gravitate to fear, so it makes growth difficult when you're in fear, so that's like learning how to swim or ride a bike. If you continuously be afraid of it, and it's that's simple, when I say ride a bike, swim, yeah. All of us were scared to jump in the water. All of us were scared to jump on the bike and ride it without handlebars until we did it and perfected it. The same thing with fear. You have to, fear is nothing. You have to just avoid it. It means nothing. So right now we're in a place where I think people have to gather yourself, and don't let this media manipulate you and take you into a place just take you to another place. Fear mongering. Don't let them do it, because we're at that time right now. We're in a time right now where they're trying to scare you. They're trying to scare you with cryptids, and they're real. Bigfoot, Dogman, Wolfman, vampire. You see it. You might not want to believe it. It's the paranormal. You see it. You might not want to believe it, but it's real. Mermaids, mermen, sirens. They're there. You might not want to believe it, but it's there. Leviathan, these other creatures that are in the depth, they're there. You might not want to believe it, but it's there. You understand what I'm saying? Extraterrestrial, interterrestrials, they're here. You might not want to believe it, but they're there. They've been here since forever. They've been here longer than you. And not to you, just this vessel. They're older than this vessel. Some of them have been here longer than these vessels that we're in right now. Understand that. They've been here longer than these vessels that we're in. So you think it's not real. But if it was the you, the spirit, not the spirit, but the soul, the real you, that power, that energy, the you, and you were still in your older vessel, which was where we incarnate and have reincarnated from, if you were there, then you would know. But with you losing your memory, with you being in a different vessel and you being manipulated and mind fucked for millennia, of course you don't believe this shit's real. And when you believe that what everybody is saying, but with your own mind, of course you'll believe it. Of course you will. I'm a rebel. I'm rebellious. I'm stubborn. When you say go left, I'm going right. I'm an Aquarius. That's what we do. I'm going the other way. I don't give a fuck if it's a million of you motherfuckers. I will be going the opposite direction. I promise you that shit. I'll sit down, I'll analyze it for a little while, and then I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to go this way. I'll figure it out for myself. And it doesn't have to be just an Aquarius. It has to be as an individual where you have your own independent thought and critical thinking, but at the same time having a hive mindset. Each one teach one, and then guidance, because some people are more adapt to other things, or have more experience and have more, had a deeper learning process. So now you can, you don't have to follow that person, but you can take what they say into consideration, or you can, or follow them until you feel like you're able to jump up, until you're able to take your training wheels off. Because believe me, I followed Hebrew Israelites. I'm not one. I followed Islam, but I'm not one. I followed Catholicism, but I'm not. My mother, who was Afro-Latina, was in the Catholic. She went to a Catholic school. So that's the first church I went to. As a baby. So. I've all these religions. I've read them all that. And then you have to kind of embody that. You can't, not just really. If you don't embody that, it's just like what these actors that perform in, and these Broadway people that are in plays, they have to become that to get into that role. They have to become it. So when you study these different religions, you have to become it. That's not who you are. You study that and you become that character, and that's how you receive the knowledge that's given to you. I've read the Nag Hammadi scriptures, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Book of Mormon, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I've read everything, the Book of Enoch. I have all these books already, but it's not just reading. It's about, you have to become that. You have to put yourself there. And once you put yourself there, and become that, then that's when you get the complete understanding of what these people are talking about, what they have been through, what they have experienced. And then you put it into your own interpretation. Then you put it into your own space, your own thought process. And then you discern it, and it becomes your truth. And the majority of us have done that. You know, I know I'm indigenous of this land, Seminole Indian. I know, and my mother's side is it's Mesoamerican, indigenous Mesoamerica. I know this already. I don't have to put on a uniform for that. I don't have to put on a uniform and anything that I've done. I don't have to put on a pointy hat, a wizard's hat, and my crystals and a staff. I have that though. I have a staff and I have crystal. I have all that stuff. But what you see is what you get. This is me, authentically, And where I'm from is not who I am. Where I'm from is not who I am. So, and then you find yourself. That's when you open your eye opens, and I mean you do the things that help manifest that, your third eye awakening, which opens on its own naturally, and then you do things to kind of help decalcify it, of course, but it opens on its own when it's ready. It's like giving birth. Some women have birth prematurely, but that doesn't mean their body wasn't ready or the child wasn't ready. I mean, that child was ready to come then. You understand? You can't tell that baby when the baby's ready to come. Baby, he or she is coming. Period. So that's the way it is. Things happen in its natural order. So, like I said, I'm not here for a rant, and I'm here for a vent. Like I said, I'm from Los Angeles, California. I was raised in Pasadena. I've been all across California, and I'm not leaving. I'll be here till the wheels fall off. I'll be here to help those that need me because they need me. Whether it be my children who are grown, whether it be my wife who needs me, whether it be my older sister and my older brother who needs me, whether it be my aunties that are still alive and my uncles, they need me. No, my uncles are gone, all of them. No, except for one. I won't speak that into existence. He's elder and he's going through some things, but mother, father gone, but I'm here for those who need me, the ones at my job who need me, the ones on the street that need me, whether you be the homeless, whether you be, the person walking around with like a chicken with his head cut off in confusion and a state of a disarray, and you're dealing with psychosis. I'm there for you. I'm here. That's what I'm here for. Unless you want to combat that. If you combat that, then that's fine. You fall in when you fall in. But I'll be right there. You know what I'm saying? And while I'm doing me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not jumping in my car going anywhere. And where the fuck we gonna go anyway? If there's going to be an earthquake, if there's going to be a hurricane, there's going to be a massive storm, a tsunami, if it's going to be all this, which is happening everywhere from Florida to Texas to California to all the way up north, all the way to the east, this shit happening, floods and earthquakes in New York, which never happened. Where's anybody gonna go? If this place is split in half, everything will be affected. So it's like you can, like I mentioned, that's like jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire. Wherever you at, you're at. And that's where everywhere you go, there you are. So you're there for a purpose. Everybody's here for a purpose. You're where you're at for a purpose. If it was meant to be, it was meant to be. So I won't be leaving California no time soon. I'm not in a hurry. And the money that my family have to go anywhere, we have to take care of the people, the ones we love and the ones we with. And we're not spending it on traveling and not having awareness You know, and people will be like, "Well, have your faith in God." I don't believe in faith. I believe in knowing. I know there's a God, so He's gonna guide me wherever I'm at. And I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the Creator of all. I'm talking about the omni. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about the infinite. I'm not talking about in flesh. I'm not talking about a being. I'm talking about the Creator. I'm talking about of it all. That's who I believe in. The true one. You know what I mean? My, my giver of life, of my soul. They say that we're souls having a human experience. That's the one I'm talking about. The one who created all of us, and we're infinite. I'm not talking about idolization, because I idol no one. I worship no one. Because, like Psalms 82:6, you are gods and children of the Most High. That's what you are. That's what the Most High said. And then it was reiterated by Yeshua in the New Testament. Isn't it in your law that you are gods and children of the Most High? So he reiterated that you are God. So if you think you're not a God, then you're in denial, or you don't want to believe that. And that's fine. That's on you. That you don't have control of your destiny, that you don't have power, that you don't have unlimited power. That's on you. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm much greater than that, much bigger than that. I far succeed that. I'm infinite. I've been here a long time. Many moons, over 22,000 years. And that's just incarnation, not this vessel. Been here a long time. You know what I'm saying? I've been here. You know. I've been in different, and when we go to sleep, we dream of, we're not actually in a movie projection. We're in actual astral projection. Actual. We leave it to different realm and dimension. I've been everything. I've swam with, Leviathan or Godzilla, whatever you want to call it. I've deflected bullets. I've died, felt the death, stabbed or shot. I've been in every situation that you can imagine out of this place. I've fought demons, spirits, and, I've done it all. And then come back into this reality. I've done that. I've been through it all. Astral projection. Shit. Sleep paralysis. I've been in a statuesque position and watched, and in another realm, another split dimension. I've been there, sleep paralysis, and seen and felt these other beings around me that, just there. You know what sleep paralysis is when you're stuck in that state. You can't move. You're in the middle of shit. Your body, your spirit, your soul leaving your body. You know what I mean? And you're frozen. And you're up, but you're asleep. And you feel yourself leaving. You feel that tightness in your chest, like somebody's sitting on it. You can't breathe. Their breath is taken from you, but you see things around you. You feel them, or that they might not even show themselves, but they're around, because they might not want to show themselves to you, because some of them are afraid of you. And I'm here to tell you that they only fuck with motherfuckers they know they fuck with. I didn't put my hands on something. I didn't put my hands on something. You understand what I'm saying? So you're bigger than who you are. Now, if you're in California right now and you hear me, there's nothing to be afraid of. Because if they're going to shoot off anything, they'd have done it by now. Those are idle threats. Number two, anything that has to do with nuclear or any type of energy like that, they don't want to shoot off. Anything that has the power of the sun, they don't want to shoot off. Because they will speed some shit up if they do. That's why they shoot stuff like that in the water. Because if you shoot that shit on land, why do you think that when they shot that shit off back in the 40s, they've never done it again since then? But that's when everybody started to have their awakening. That's when all the star seeds started coming down. Because if they shot something with the power of the sun, right now they will speed up evolution. They will speed up your DEA and your DNA. They will speed up that shit. And you will transform into some shit. Whatever's dormant in your junk DNA, whatever's inside of you, that shit will be unleashed in a fucking microsecond. I mean, if you think they gonna do that shit, you're sadly mistaken. It ain't gonna happen. So if you're in California, if you're in any state, don't believe the hype. Like Flavor Flav said, yeah. Don't believe the hype. Yeah. Don't believe that shit. And whatever they tell you, everything is inverted. Whatever they tell you is not the truth. What they say is not real. Period. Everything is upside down. It's inverted. Second guess it. Question it. Period. And if you don't have that intuition, then question it. Question everything. But if you feel it in your soul and you feel it in your heart of hearts, and you like, well, y'all motherfuckers is full of shit, then know that. That's the truth. So like I said, I'm not going to stay long. I'm going to get up for a minute, so I want you to read what this says in the back. You understand what I'm saying? Was that long enough for you? That's what it says. That's what it means. Save it. Download it. Matter of fact, I'll get up one more time so you can read it again. All right. And let me reiterate to all the natives out there, so-called natives, let me reiterate to all you Africans or you Spanish, I'm indigenous of this land. I'm Maruka. I don't have nothing against you. You can't tell me where I'm from. You can't tell me where my people are from. Because we've been here longer than a lot of y'all have been alive. Especially the continent of Africa. It wasn't even established a place until the 19, 40s or some shit like that. Some people that, my mother or father has been here longer than you've been even established. And everybody else, I love you. I don't care what you claim. I don't care who you are. Doesn't make no difference to me. But you can't tell me who I am, and you can't tell me who my people are. You can't tell me where my power is. And you can't tell me where my people power is and where we come from. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm getting ready to get up out of here. I'm going to give me something to eat. Go Dodgers. Go Bruins. Go Lakers. And peace. And I say. Peace and I say. Peace and I say. Shalom. Peace be unto you. To all the gods and goddesses. Love you. Shalom.